Okay, we are live.
I'm Maddy.
I'm Ryan. Sorry for the delay. For once, we were on time. This happened last time. We were on
Please
time.
tell me, by the way, that you are recording in Audacity right now.
Yeah, I did that before I got in because I have to switch all the microphone stuff around.
Okay. We had our usual technical difficulties with the show.
Okay. This time it was like I plugged in my headphones and then like immediately all the audio stopped and I had to restart my entire computer. So that was cool.
Fun new computer problem that you're having that I didn't even know about. That surprise happened today. So that's.
I was actually worried it was going to happen a long time ago and it never did. So that's good.
Well, we made it. We're here. We're on the morning show. I got to finish my entire plate of eggs before the show even started, so I'm really on top of things.
Well, that's good.
I even took a
neither
shower
of us slept
today.
last night.
I'm like,
that's good.
Yeah, I woke up really early and showered before the morning show, which FYI, I never do. So people are getting a really nice look at how good my hair can look when I actually take a shower before the show.
Oh my god.
Doesn't it look so fluffy and normal? Anyway, Ryan, what's up? We hung out all weekend.
We did, and we also didn't sleep last night. We slept.
Well, that's every week. That's every week for me. That's I mean,
know.
We say that every time?
But the thing is that last night I actually did fall asleep at a normal hour, which was like midnight, so maybe not normal for normal people.
So you had to keep getting up and taking.
Yeah, she woke me up at 2:00. Well, see, here's the thing though, it's that Lyra.
Dogs get sick sometimes. It's a pain.
Yeah, but you know what? Lyra is so good though, because this has happened before, where she's like suddenly had like diarrhea in the middle of the night, but she doesn't do it in the house, so she like literally comes and wakes me up. And then she'll do it outside. So like she never does it inside.
But
so
it sucks for her and you because it's the middle of the night and she's not like a person where you can just go get sick in the toilet in your own home without disturbing anyone else.
And then Ben had to get up this morning. So
yeah, he had to get up early for work. So I mean, there was no sleep to be had.
No.
I'm sorry. I didn't sleep for no reason. So I mean, it's fine.
Well, you've had a stressful few weeks with the album going live, but you did have a very relaxing weekend. We both did. So everyone,
of which,
we had an awesome weekend.
We did have an awesome weekend, but also there's only 2 days left to pledge to the album crowdfund. So if people want to do that, they should get on it. And also we had an awesome weekend together because I went and hung out with you and we did like 60 things.
We really
I don't even know where we want to start with this. We did a lot of productive things. So you talking about productive things
Steph
first.
came the day before you. So technically like my like staycation.
So I got there and Steph was already there.
Okay, I should clarify that we didn't go on vacation anymore, but Ben was gone on his vacation with like his bros. Mm-hmm. So like I was like, Maddy and Steph, come down. We're just going to like hang out at the house and we'll pretend that we're staying in a nice place. So I like super cleaned up the house and everything. And,
it was beautiful. And also for me, this was a total vacation. It was not a staycation for me. I packed a ton of stuff.
I know. She was like texting me. She was like, why am I packing so much?
Because I had to bring the air mattress because there was me and Steph. And then I had to bring like an entire Resident Evil costume.
Because we
made a Resident Evil comedy sketch video about Leon and Jill.
I played Jill.
Yeah, Ryan played Jill. I played that dog, and Lyra was Leon.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
It's a really great video. Actually, that would have been fucking adorable.
It really would have. We have like the little wig on Lyra. Oh my god.
Okay, we'll do that next time. No, she will not like that at all. She will be so upset. I don't want to torture Lyra. She's too good.
That's true.
Anyway,
so
that was one of the things that we did. I like how I'm doing this in backwards order. That was like one of the last things we did on Saturday night.
That's not
actually. It wasn't though.
It wasn't. We also shot the final scene that we needed for GENO, which I know we said we wrapped on it before, but we need to get some like stock footage of
back. That was the first thing we did. As soon as I got there, I was like, let's get this out of the way because Steph. Can we say who Steph is playing? How secretive are we going to be?
Well, we could say that she's been cast as Commander Shay.
Yeah, so she had to record some lines and some B-roll. So
I guess
we did that.
For anybody that's on here that's actually watched Demon, which is that movie we made as teenagers and then posted it on the internet for some reason.
Yeah, Steph played Rouge.
And it took me a lot of convincing to even get her to do this because she was in a place where she didn't really want to be on camera, but like she's warming up to it again. So we got some stock footage
because
of
we
her.
managed to convince everyone we know.
I know.
Sooner or later.
And so she also had to record a bunch of lines, and it was so funny because she was reading it and she's like, because it's a comedy series and she's playing a totally serious character.
This is us bragging. She had to stop to keep laughing because she loved our hilarious jokes. That made me really happy. I was actually really happy that happened to a lot of people who read the script. It made me feel like maybe other people will think it's funny besides just us, or maybe you'll watch it and it'll be really awkward and unfunny and you'll laugh at us. That's fine too. I mean, that's another acceptable way to enjoy GENO when it finally comes out. I like how we're essentially filming like a half-hour comedy pilot. Like it's gonna be so long when it's all edited together, and like it's taking us.
Sure, I don't know.
The script is like 22 pages long or something. I mean, it's gonna be long as shit, man.
It's like it's an actual TV pilot for a 20-minute show. So, whoop.
I mean, why did we do this? Is the real question. Like, when are we gonna have time to film episode 2?
I don't want to get into all the details of GENO right now because we have so much to talk about. But I will say that in the original incarnation of the Mothman script, I think it was shorter because it didn't include an entire scene with Vicky in the middle.
Well, it did, but the scene was way shorter, and it didn't include any explanation about who Vicky was, or I mean, none of this matters at all. I
don't know. All right, so we did that, and it was really great. And Steph and Maddy were both here all weekend, and Steph got here before Maddy did, and we spent the day like hiking, and we went down to the shore because even though I don't live on the shore yet, we still live a good like half an hour away. So we went down there, and Steph and I like went to this pub, and then we went and ate on the marina, and it was really awesome.
People can check out exactly what that was like in the 2 or 3 minute vlog that Ryan has.
I do a daily vlog, so it's on Follow the Sun vlog. And then today, at some point, the day with Maddy and I hanging out and going to the beach and having an awesome time and getting ice cream and shit, it's going to be like up probably tonight when I have some more time to
The vlog that's up now is like all day Friday. So I was at work all day and then I came after that.
She shows up at the end and then we play Resident Evil 7.
So we filmed get to the GENO scenes, which is in the vlog for like 2 seconds.
That was so funny though. Maddy literally walked in the door and she was like, hey, so I figure we should just get to work. She starts like taking out the microphone. So I'm like trying to explain to Steph what's going on because we were in the middle of playing Resident Evil 6. And I was like, hey, so we're going to film something. And Steph's like, what's happening?
Yeah, Steph's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, down to business, everybody. And I'm just like unpacking all my equipment. Well, but I knew that it wouldn't happen if I didn't just like go ahead and make it happen. And I knew that we would be glad that it was done. Because
I mean, that's true too.
That's how it works. So then we did our chores first and finished all the filming and then got to play Resident Evil 7, which I guess we're not going to talk about quite yet. We'll talk about it
but we will talk about it in that fucking dumb
We have so much to say about that. I fucking loved it. Spoiler alert for that segment.
But yeah, Maddy and I went to the beach and it was fucking great.
Yeah, that was Saturday. Saturday we woke up and we went hiking with Lyra, which was super fun. And we got to see a waterfall, which was exciting for me because Ryan sees us all the time. But I was like, this is great. And took a bunch of pictures and Ryan was like, what are you doing? And I'm like,
no, I do that all the time. Come on. I didn't know what was happening because I had the dog. So I was like sort of focused on us charging forward.
Trailing behind and like taking dramatic shots of Lyra shaking her head in the water. She's adorable. So that was great. It was cool to like go on a vacation where we got to exercise a little bit and then
go down to the water and drive around.
And then we went to the beach and
got delicious ice cream. Neither of which neither of us got like the ice cream that we said that we would like last week.
I did.
I did not. I got brownie stuff, but it was still good.
Yeah, you got a chocolate thing, a massive chocolate thing, and then I got a massive coffee ice cream with Heath bar on top, which I think I said is my ordinary go-to.
You did. I said cookies and cream, but then I saw brownies. I was like, sure, let's do that.
You got brownie batter with Oreos on top.
That's true. I did forget about that already.
You got Oreos on top of it, so we both were cliches. And then we went home and we filmed 2 more entire videos.
I talked you into the second one, which I'm not going to get into too much detail, but basically we read a really old story that Maddy wrote when she was 12 about the characters of GENO
for both of us.
It was more embarrassing for me, which is hilarious. But
I know I felt kind of bad. Actually,
I mean, who cares?
Edit all the embarrassing stuff out. No, I'm just kidding. You can't do that. You can't.
The premise of this, because I think people will laugh, is that it was a story that Maddy wrote when she was 12 about all the characters of GENO that were forced to go to the beach and wear like tiny clothing, and they were like all like, ew.
Yeah, I actually don't know how old I was when I wrote this. We could figure it out if we wanted to.
I'm pretty sure you were 12. Like you were really young.
12. I might have literally been 12, but I think I was 13.
Maybe, but still, she's like writing the story that's like about her essentially being horny because she's like, all the characters need to get naked.
Done anything with anyone, and I wrote this story where all the GENO characters like have sexual tension with each other, but it was sort of interesting.
Whatever sexual tension you think it is when you're 13.
It was sort of interesting because this story just coincidentally happened to have the exact same characters that are in the pilot. So I was like, it would be really funny if we put this up after the pilot is done, so it might not be out for a really long time.
That's fair, but we did shoot a bunch of stuff.
At least at this point, when people watch that, they will understand who the characters are, hopefully. And will think it's funny that I wrote this story when I was 13. I don't know if they're going to think it's funny or not. People can tell us. Okay, so...
And then you all left, which was sad. We watched some great movies, by the way, which we'll talk about later.
We'll talk about that in a bit, but we watched Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter stuff, which I'd never seen before.
I know, and then Monday, I was still technically off, so I took Lyra swimming again, and we had some more beach time for just us. And then yesterday, I went to work, but then my friend Gordon was like, hey, I want to go Six Flags, and he had like super discounted tickets, so we went to Six Flags. So yesterday, I was on roller coasters, like completely out of the blue. That was fucking great. The Superman is still great. If you live in New England in the US, there's Six Flags New England, and it has like the Superman, which is like this roller coaster that has a huge drop. It was my first roller coaster when I was a teenager. I still love it. But they also like updated one of the wooden coasters that they had like taken down and replaced it with this steel coaster that looked like the wooden coaster, but had like twists and turns in it. And it was really fucking awesome. I was really excited about it. So,
all right.
Anyway, I recommend rides.
Okay. I don't know when I'm ever going to get to Six Flags in my lifetime.
Maddie's also never going to go on a roller coaster. So, I mean,
I would go on one if it didn't go upside down. I think I get motion sick more easily than you do.
Yeah, a lot of people do. That's actually why we wound up leaving when we did, is because Batman. Gordon did the Batman. Yeah, Batman did the Batman. It was really hot.
And then Batman got really nauseated. And
and he left. He was like, I'm just like really not meant for this kind of work.
Yeah, that would be me, except that like I already know that. I don't even need to be on a roller coaster.
I don't get motion sickness, thank God, because I love that shit. So
yeah, it's an inner ear thing. It's not like a thing you have control over. But I can take some meclizine and then I do fine.
That's true.
Anyway, that's like the
it was a lot of fun.
Bonine and Dramamine and all those motion sickness drugs you can take, but that only does so much.
You actually ended up talking about that for a really long time because we're like, because he's an EMT, a medic also, so we're talking about like things you could take to make yourself feel better for like a full hour while we're standing in line at Six Flags.
These are all the things I don't have on me, but I'd love to have so that I can enjoy this ride.
Well, we were talking about like how Benadryl puts you to sleep, and I was talking about how NyQuil is supposed to do that, but neither of those things do that for me. Instead, they just make me hallucinate for some reason. So I just don't take anything.
Have you ever tried melatonin? We can have that conversation.
Yeah, that's a lot of. I just wanted to share with the internet that I want to see if anybody else out there has that reaction that I do. Because
before people start sending us drug recommendations, which has happened to me before when I've talked about insomnia on Twitter, I've tried almost all of those things and they don't work for me. So just so you know, like if you're thinking of something, I've tried it. I've tried melatonin. I've tried valerian root. Like, stop emailing me.
Just don't email Maddy.
Or email me, but assume I've already tried what you're suggesting.
So let's talk about the opposite thing of sleeping, which is workout tips, which I'm not prepared for. Are you?
I am prepared. Sure.
Okay, good. You can go first.
Okay, so
bye.
Bye.
Drop this weight on myself.
This is a tip that works out a similar muscle to. Do you remember where I showed you how to do these?
Yeah, that's the tricep.
The backwards tricep pull or whatever the heck it's called. I think this works out the same muscle. It's something I used to do when I had a workout bench, and I still do again now, but I assume most people don't. So you can do it with a chair, and Or you could just get on all fours and do it. But basically,
oh baby,
yeah. A lot of workout moves are weirdly sexual. Like sidebar, every time I did belong to a gym, I was always like, this is really embarrassing.
That's like also doing
Has
yoga.
That ever happened to you? Like,
no, I do that sometimes.
And you're like, this move feels like I'm having sex with the bench or something. And like, there's a lot of other people around who aren't looking at me because what I'm doing is normal, but
it doesn't
society
feel
is weird sometimes. Like the construction of us all being in a gym and doing embarrassing shit is okay according to society. It's just funny.
What else is new?
So imagine that you're like, okay, I'm going to have to actually demonstrate this. It probably wouldn't work if you were on all fours. So like you have one leg up, and then usually if you're on a weight bench, you put your knee on one side of it. So like the knee that's closest to
I know what you're talking about already.
So
yeah.
Like, you can do this move. Okay, so here I'll show you.
Maddy's bending over on a bench.
What's up? So I've got my arm at a right angle, and I'm pushing back my arm so that basically the back of my arm is getting a workout. This muscle right here. So.
Oh, I see that. Yeah.
Woo! Anyway, that's something you can do. And if you're too scared about putting the weight over your head,
that's like an easier one.
Then that's another thing that you can do, and you can do it with just a chair. And I know that because I just did it. So there's no excuse for you.
So I'm gonna follow that up with that same thing where you put one knee up on the bench or a chair, but instead of going backwards like that, you just go down.
Yeah, you do a row. That's called a row. I can demonstrate that too.
Oh, Maddy's gonna do that also.
I thought about doing this, but I was like, I'll just do one workout move per show. But then you are doing the row, so that's fine. We both did too. So a row, it's kind of, I don't know why this is called a row, because it's nothing like rowing a boat.
I know, because there's like there's other things called like a row where you go forward with the weight, but this is when you're kneeling and you push the weight down.
Yeah.
So
you're basically picking it up over and over.
I'm just going to clarify, you're not on the floor.
I know, but you could do it on the floor if you wanted to.
But it's a little bit harder because you need sort of like that height.
I'm just putting my other hand on the chair that's right in front of me.
Yeah.
And basically you're drawing the weight towards your chest and then bringing it a little past your chest and putting it right next to your boob or pectoral muscle and then putting it back down again. But so something that I overheard when I used to still be in a gym is a physical trainer telling somebody that if you do it at an angle as opposed to just straight up and down, like, do you see how I'm kind of doing it? I'm kind of pulling it at an angle.
Yeah.
Apparently that's better. So that's what I always do, but I have no idea if it actually is better or not. I just overheard some trainer that someone else was paying money to employ. And I was like listening in and I was like, oh, I'm broke. I can't afford it.
I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing I would have done too, because like, whatever. I mean, I'm already right there.
So rows are great. A rows workout, I don't even know, like your entire arm. It's like, I don't think it's just your bicep. I think it's like your entire shoulder and everything. I used to always do rows. I haven't in a while. I
just remembered the row that I gave a tip on. Like, I haven't done that in forever. I need to add it to my workout sheet. So yeah, I keep it. I'm OCD and I keep like a number of everything I do every day.
That's not even an OCD thing. That's just like an organizational thing that honestly you have to do when you start lifting weights a lot, because otherwise you're going to forget how many weights
and how heavy the weights were.
Yeah, the heaviness of each weight and how many repetitions you regularly do and which workouts you do. Like, eventually it's just going to get to a point where you have to have a piece of paper. And like, I haven't gotten to that point since I was like in high school and working out with a piece of paper a lot. But as an adult, usually
it's the future now. So we have these things called Excel sheets and also Google Docs.
I wonder if I could like make an app for my phone. Actually, people should let us know if there's an app for this.
They're like our exercise apps. I just don't like any of them.
I don't want an exercise app that's going to tell me to stop eating food and lose weight. I don't want that shit. I want one that's going to help me keep track of when.
You want one that actually says the opposite. One that says eat a ton of food, but then also do this.
Yes, I actually really do, because I have the opposite problem where I forget to eat or I don't eat enough food and I need to eat more to build muscle. So like, maybe we should design an app, Ryan.
Okay, it's gonna be called Insomniacs app.
Let's make $1 bajillion designing an app, a thing we don't know how to do. Anyway, we did it. Workout tips.
We did it. Hooray.
Let's talk about
We're like not normal today. We're like so sleep deprived. It's great.
That's why the show is moving along quickly as opposed to lagging like it normally does. Okay, are we going to talk about Resident Evil 7?
No, we're going to leave. Thanks for watching, guys.
No. We recommend the demo. Okay, bye.
Leon's not in it.
He's not in it. Okay, so are we going to just spoil the entire demo?
Yeah. There's only one way to do it is to
I know, we have to spoil it. Okay, so first, before we spoil it, we'll say you should actually play it. It's really good. If you can.
You need to be a PlayStation Plus member, I think, so you can't just get it unless you are one. I don't know if that's changed.
Everyone is. I mean, everyone is, or you know someone.
I don't remember what the details are. Like, it was when we downloaded it, but it's also been a week since then, so that may not actually be the case. So anyways,
while Steph was here... it anyway. Yeah, so while Steph was here, they downloaded it, and they waited very patiently until I showed up. And then when I got there, Steph was like, okay, so we are going to make fun of this demo, because I think we all assumed it would be bad, because much as we love Resident Evil, a lot of the stuff they've put out isn't very good.
Okay, yeah, but also we were like, it looks like it has nothing to do with Resident Evil, so we were like, is that even...
Do you remember at like the beginning of the game, I said something like, wouldn't it be funny if the game were really good and then we were just silent the entire time? And that's pretty much what happened.
We were definitely not silent.
Well, but we weren't making fun of it though, because we were like, this is actually pretty good. Or at least that was the sense that I got from it.
Well, we were sort of working together to try and figure it out. So, okay, so it's a first-person game now. That's very similar to...
very controversial, because normally Resident Evil games are over-the-shoulder only.
Yeah, it's very similar to PT, which got canceled because of all the Konami bullshit.
It's clearly inspired by PT and Amnesia. There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I think Amnesia is a better point of reference.
Everyone is comparing it to PT, but honestly, it reminded me so much more of Amnesia.
Yeah, and also the director had already been working on this first-person game when PT was released. So, like, PT was sort of influential, but, like, it wasn't the reason why they went in that direction.
So annoyed. They probably feel the way that we feel about GENO with, like, every time something similar comes out, we're like, we did it first!
I guess. The director was like, he thought it was sort of interesting and into it, so...
That's
good.
Know. That's good that they had a good attitude about it.
Yeah, so it's a first-person game where you are playing a character who is locked inside this house that obviously has not been taken care of in years, and you're trying to figure out why you're there.
And how to escape. And you kind of see...
And us as the player, we don't know who this person is. We don't know wwhy they're there.
But we figure it out. You figure it out relatively quickly.
That you find, like, locked up, that you put into a VCR. I don't know if kids are playing this and knowing what the fuck that is.
Yeah, they're like, what's with this 8-track?
Yeah, what's with this big box and putting it into this other big box?
Yeah.
And you then play as the video guy walking through the house at some earlier point in time. And
so you're a cameraman for what seems to be like a reality show. Like, you know, these are real reality shows in the States. I don't know if they have them in Asia or not, but in the States we have reality shows where people will go to haunted houses and try to find if there's any paranormal activity there. And that seems to be what this is based on. So you're a cameraman and you've got 2 other guys working with you, a producer and the on-camera talent, and they're both obnoxious dudes. And you say nothing, so you are not an obnoxious dude. You're just a dude. And your name's Clancy, and we know everyone's names because we played this game 600 fucking times. So you play as Clancy, the cameraman, and you're taping these 2 guys going into this farmhouse where some murders have been committed. They know that murders have been committed there.
Right, and
think that it's been long abandoned.
Right.
But it turns out that there's at least one guy still living there, maybe more.
And you don't really know what happened to him or his family.
You know some people died, though, but you don't really know anything else. So when you get there, the game is out of order. But in the tape takes place in the past because it's the tape that you made. And this was really cool. Like, you were playing as the cameraman walking around the house, filming the house. So it's sort of like you're watching the tape and making the tape at the same time. I thought that was a really neat choice that they made.
Well, I agree. And also sort of what's interesting about all that is depending on what you did, in the tape version sort of affected other things later on.
Mm-hmm.
So
like you can find
a lockpick.
We are just fucking spoiling this. Yeah. Okay. So you can find a lockpick. We won't tell you where, but you can look up a clue if you need it. You can find a lockpick, but only in the tape version. And the really big spoiler is that you can see what seems to be a ghost in the tape version, but only
right. But it's Resident Evil, and there really aren't ghosts. So Maddy and I are already theorizing what that could be. Like, we don't. Maddy's theory is that they're infected with something and they're already like hallucinating.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like potential similarities to the Las Plagas thing that Leon gets. So I mean, maybe that it's something like that, because normally Resident Evil games don't have ghosts in them.
And also Resident Evil games is all about like science and ridiculous mutations. So
yeah, it's all science fiction. There's no fantasy. It's always like hard sci-fi, or at least soft sci-fi.
Yeah.
So it's very strange for this to be sort of more of a supernatural fantasy kind of a genre.
But it may not be, because we don't really know.
Yeah, we don't really know. And
so there's also like all these different items and things you can do in different orders. Like you can get like a saw and a dummy finger, and everyone's like, we don't know what to do with this dummy finger and axe.
Yeah, it's not a saw, it's an axe. Don't fool people by thinking they can find a saw somewhere.
Sorry, I don't know why I just said that, but like it's sort of
you can watch the movie Saw on the VHS player.
Yeah, you can do that too, but it kind of feels like you're in Saw.
It kind of does.
But it's similar to PT. It's like the way that you do things in certain orders sort of changes the outcome of what's happening. And so far, pretty much everyone has figured out two main endings.
Yeah, and there's like a couple variations on the second ending that you get,
and some people think that there might be
there.
like
a third
might be it. They're like, oh, that's the end of the demo. And I've had people tweet at us being like, oh, the reason why you can't use that stuff because it's not fully functional in that game yet. But I'm also like reading how the directors are like, this is a prequel. This demo is a prequel to the actual game. None of this is going to be in the actual game.
Yeah, it's a standalone prequel essentially, and it's sort of its own coherent story, even on its own. Like,
yeah, and so you don't really know.
Like, everything is not explained per se, but I feel like there's a lot of clues in there about like what's
and so
happening.
A lot of people also theorize that the demo is not done, similar to like how PT wasn't finished right away. People like didn't realize how to beat it. And you know, people are messing with everything.
Added later to PT that added in more endings and stuff. But also with PT, people figured out the ending relatively quickly. Like it was a couple days, and then like some Twitch streamer was playing it and getting help from. It was sort of like they crowdsourced the ending by doing this, by like having multiple people be like, try this, try this, try this. And that hasn't happened yet with RE7, which is
the same concept is happening where people are doing that and they're trying to like all work together to come together. But I don't know. I'm really I am interested. I want to know who or what this is actually going to have to do with Resident Evil besides like an umbrella helicopter.
Yeah,
both Maddy and I think the person
of an umbrella helicopter.
There's somebody who calls you on the phone in that, and Maddy and I are convinced it's Ada because it sounds just like her.
It really does sound like Ada Wong, but we don't know who it is. But there is a woman who calls you on the phone.
Yep.
In the second ending, and
there was like some other thing. Oh yeah, the mannequins, which is Maddy's favorite part. There are mannequins that literally turn around and just appear when you turn around, and like it scared Maddy like every time.
I know, but eventually we played the game so many times that I wasn't scared by it anymore. Like the first time we played through the game, I thought it was pretty scary. But then eventually we sort of
me too. But then eventually we were like, we knew everything, and we were like, how do we get out?
Yeah, also like we just broke the game by pushing mannequins into rooms they weren't supposed to be in, and pushing boxes down the stairs a bunch of times. And like
Maddy got over mannequin fear because Steph was just kicking the mannequins down the stairs and laughing hysterically.
It's pretty funny. I mean, you can kick the mannequins around if you want to. You can kick them around. You can only kick certain ones around. There's certain ones that are interactable, and then other ones that are just part of the scene.
So I guess we don't know if if that's the whole demo, or if they're adding more to the demo, or if people still need to complete it. But I mean, Capcom has made a splash. They wanted to get people to really into the Resident Evil series again, and this has created it's like the thing from E3 that has made the most commotion at this point, besides like Legend of Zelda, which we will talk about next, since I just said that.
Okay, transition.
So, E3 happened. And we talked a little bit about it last week because
it was really depressing editing the show last week and listening to us talk about how cool it would be if you got to play as a girl in this game.
Oh my god, but then they announced that was not going to happen.
We recorded that like the day before or even like a few hours before it came out that you could not do that. And like the game looks really cool and like a lot of people keep sort of emphasizing that and being like, well, it looks so neat. And
why can't you also be a girl? But okay, so I am really excited about the Zelda game because they sort of are going back to their roots of the very first Zelda game where you can pretty much go anywhere at the beginning of the game. But it's also sort of like Elder Scrolls, so you can like collect plants and shit. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like an open world game. I mean, that's what they're claiming that it is. I don't know how open world it's really gonna.
I know. So, but I think the most clever part that I've seen about it so far is that the whole map that's huge that they've shown is sort of like all the Hyrule maps from like previous games put together to sort of make what would be like an official Hyrule. Like this is the land of Hyrule. So I'm really excited about this game. The animation is really interesting because it's sort of like Wind Waker-y meets like Ocarina of Time meets like what was it, Skyward Sword. So I don't know. I'm excited for it. This looks like the Zelda game that I really would be into because I really wasn't into Skyward Sword.
I mean, no one was. I mean, it looks really great, but I try to hold off my excitement about Zelda games these days because I was pretty disappointed about Skyward Sword. And even though Twilight Princess is kind of fun to play now, I remember at the time I was like, this isn't what I want it to be. So
I think it's because everybody really wanted an Ocarina of Time clone. So.
Which we've talked about on this show.
We have, but I am excited. I wish you could play as Zelda herself, but I don't think that will ever happen unless I continue to play like.
I don't think it will ever happen because they basically did an announcement where they were like, "We don't know how to do that." It was like the stupidest thing ever, but whatever. It's a Zelda game.
We'll still play it anyway. I mean, Zelda always is successful, and they're all like sort of good to some degree. So I mean, like you can't even say like even like Skyward Sword, which is not my favorite, is still like fun to play. So I just don't like flying. I don't like using the I like the idea of motion controls, but I really did not like.
I don't think it worked there.
I was gonna say it just was not really like
Twilight Princess the first time around.
But again, it was a Wii game.
Pretty good, but
like all the Wii games were fun and included like motion controls, but like all of them were so broken. And like I'm sort of glad that Nintendo moved away from that because like outside of like Wii Sports, it was just sort of like it didn't work in any other format. So
I know there really wasn't a good use of the Wii motion controls that like, or even like copycats of it. There was a weird period of time where there were like PS Move controllers.
The Xbox, whatever that was. Yeah,
I never had that one. Well, the Kinect, because there's Dance Central, right? So
yeah, the Kinect is still pretty popular because they make all those Just Dance games.
But I think those are the only games that people use for those. Like other than that, like you can play sports games, workout games, dance games, but like
I mean those are great, and I like it for those things. And for a while when I was working out, when I first started working out again, when I'm like 8 years ago, I did use like Wii Sports and all the Wii games because like the boxing game like really was great for cardio. So surprisingly, because we were literally like going like that for like 10 minutes. So
yeah, I remember thinking the boxing game was fun. I remember wishing that there was a more comprehensive boxing game at the time, and then nobody ever made that.
I think Punch-Out eventually came out.
I don't know if it was like actually good because no one talked about it.
I know. I should just get it at some point.
Check it out. Let me know if it's a good workout.
The only other couple things that I want to talk about, because honestly, E3 was very disappointing this year. It was like 500 gun games and zombie games, and then Resident Evil 7 stuck out, and Legend of Zelda. And I think those are the two things that people are interested about the most.
No, those are also the two things that we personally happen to be interested in.
I mean, yeah. So it was interesting in that regard, but like there wasn't like any huge announcement that got me super excited this year. The only things that I'm sort of also excited about was the new Pokemon game, which is Sun and Moon, but it's like again, it's a rehashing of like the Pokemon games, except it's like in the Caribbean somewhere, and there's a super hot professor. So I mean, there's that.
All right, great.
And I do like the starters, and we've talked about that. But also, they showed a little bit more of Yooka-Laylee, which I'm so excited about. And you didn't really play Banjo-Kazooie or like Anything?
I haven't. I have seen the trailers for this though, and I get why people are excited about it.
It's like literally Banjo-Kazooie, but they couldn't have the rights to them or whatever. And I loved Banjo-Kazooie, and it was at the time I was playing it, I was like too old for Banjo-Kazooie, but it was fucking great.
Whatever. I'm not going to judge you. I've professed my love for Kirby many times on this show.
Well, you also played Donkey Kong Country, and that's the same team, the original Donkey Kong Country team. So
yeah, I mean, those are great. So
I'm really excited. I'm going to buy that like right away and play the shit out of it.
I hope it's actually good because like obviously people were really disappointed by Mighty Number 9 this week, which is a game that I was never really going to be interested in personally.
I want to play that, but it's one of the I have so many games right now that like it's not in a game that I need to play right. Like I haven't played Star Fox, which is a game that I do want to play.
Well, so you could check that out. But apparently Mighty Number 9 was like kind of a disappointment. I haven't played it at all, but like that's another example of like a team, the Mega Man team trying to sort of redo Mega Man with the serial numbers filed off. Yeah. And like I think stuff like that can go really wrong. And
I agree.
So I hope that Yooka-Laylee isn't that situation.
No, I don't think so. I really don't. I think it's very different.
That sort of Symphony of the Night clone that got kickstarted recently. Like when I remember when I saw news about that, I forgot like,
about that.
I feel like this is exactly the same kind of thing that could go horribly wrong. So I basically make new video games.
I don't know. I think this has potential to be good because they are doing what people want on this. So we'll see, and then I will review it and be like, here's Ryan's review. That's the name of the show, Ryan's Reviews. There we go.
Okay.
I'm claiming it now.
Well, I hope you enjoy it.
So before we get to the throwback, I want to talk about this thing that Maddy and I also went up. So we're driving back from the beach and we were talking about X-Men Apocalypse again. And we were talking about how we didn't hate the movie, and we did a super long review on here, so you can go back and watch it or listen to it on the podcast. And for those of you that were asking, you can get the podcast on iTunes and on our website, Atomic Blue Productions. And I'm slowly updating the Atomic Blue Productions site to include like descriptions for each podcast. But for some reason, because of the whole reset that happened on the website, like halfway through this show, like I lost everything, so I just haven't gotten back to it. But it's all there. And we were talking about how X-Men Apocalypse had parts that really worked well, but parts of it that just really didn't. And so we ended up discussing what we would have changed in the movie to make it better. But we ended up coming up with something like that did work, and we sort of wonder if it was a potential script at some point.
So we wrote it down, and I think this should be a separate video because it's so long.
I agree. And we could, if you guys want to hear us talk about it in extreme detail, we will. But sort of like the keys changes we made is that we got rid of like Moira McTaggart entirely.
Yeah, we wrote Moira out of the script entirely,
and
which is surprisingly easy to do.
I know, it was so easy, and we instead
gave Psylocke more to do,
right?
And we gave Storm more to do, and we also made Mystique one of the Horsemen instead of Magneto. And
we just erased all that shit with Magneto and his secret family because it just was not. We don't need that anymore because we've already seen him losing his family. So like, it's just not inspiration for that character.
And also like, I'd rather see the movie spend more time on the new characters than reminding us about old characters. So we took out a bunch of Xavier and Magneto scenes basically, and just had them be side characters. Scenes.
And like we changed it so Mystique was actually saving Nightcrawler as her son, and that became
canonical. We put that in.
And we also made Quicksilver tell Magneto that he's his father, so like he actually has his story arc. Like,
but anyway, the point is we wrote this down in a huge Google Doc in the actual order that it would happen in the movie, and I would like us to make a video where we edit together us reading through this script that we wrote and putting in scenes from the movie. Right.
And like essentially we gave the kids more to do, and we made it so it followed them more, and so included more scenes for them because really that's the audience's perspective in.
Yeah, and also like those kids should have been introduced better because they're the characters who we're supposed to care about and follow from now on.
Right. So if you guys want to see us do this, we'll get together and we'll film us going over it, and then I'll edit it all together.
We might have to wait until X-Men Apocalypse comes out on DVD though, and with the deleted scenes and stuff. So we might.
Oh yeah. Well, that will probably be soon because it came out a month ago, and that's about standard for something coming out on DVD now.
I know. Also, like, it's probably already out of theaters because it did.
No, it wasn't, because I was looking on Monday because I was really tempted to go see it again after we had that conversation.
Yeah, so that you could be like, I got to work on my fan script.
I know, pretty much. But I'm really excited to talk about it at some point. So I hope you all want to hear of it.
I think so. People really enjoyed our X-Men Apocalypse episode.
Yeah, so basically we'll do like a whole episode that's just us talking about what it could be. It probably won't be an Insomniacs thing. It'll probably go up in Atomic Blue.
Yeah, it'll probably be a separate video. But yeah, I would definitely like to do that at some point. And the scaffolding for the video already exists.
That's true. So want to do a throwback?
Yeah.
To a show that, okay, so this isn't really a throwback to something we watched as kids. I think I watched a little bit of it as a child, but didn't really understand it.
This is a throwback to something that we didn't grow up with. Not that I did watch it this weekend. Similar movies. Like, I watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off a million times when I was a kid, and like Wayne's World and all kinds of stuff that was either from the 80s or a throwback to the 80s in Wayne's World's case. But like, I didn't ever see this movie. It's called Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which I feel like is the kind of title that would have scared me as a kid, because I would have assumed it was about like
that's probably what's getting your mom away from it.
I mean, I think also just the implications of that, like it sounds like it's going to be really dark, and it's not. It's
really not.
Movie,
I mean, it's okay. So first, I want to preface and say that I have a huge pile of like 80s movies that Maddie needs to watch that she's never seen, and we're slowly making our way through them. And I was like, we're gonna start with this one. This is the winner.
This is a good pick.
I mean, it is, and it follows that format of 80s comedy where it's like it's goofy, but it shouldn't work, but it does.
So we should clarify this movie's technically from 1991, but I think it was probably made in like 89 or 90.
Yeah, something like that.
So there's a lot of 80s fashion, but you can also sort of see like the beginnings of grunge.
Yeah.
Like the beginnings of sort of the like disaffected sarcasm that was such a hallmark of the 90s. So it's like an interesting crossover movie between like remembering the 80s and the 90s and sort of the stuff that we grew up with when we were old enough to actually recognize what was happening in the world around us.
Yeah.
But I still would have been a little bit young to be watching this movie in 1991. So I get why I wouldn't have seen it then. So it's about these 5 kids and their single mom. And she has to go on a 2-month trip to Australia, which I believe is a work trip, but I'm not sure whether it's actually
which Maddie loved. She was like, this single mom of 5 children are going on a work trip.
And she's a career woman, and she's like not giving up her career, so she hires a babysitter. And so the oldest kid of the 5 is a girl who I think is like 17. I'm not sure she's 18. Maybe she is 18. She's 18. And so she's still in high school, so she can drive, and she sort of thinks like going in that her mom is going to let her babysit her 4 siblings, but her mom is like, nope, I'm going to hire a babysitter, which makes a lot of sense because
she's like only 17.
Would she trust her daughter to do this? So like you're on the mom's side throughout this. So the mom hires this elderly lady to babysit them, and then as soon as the mom leaves, the elderly lady gets super strict and mean to the kids and is bossing them around and is like clearly super mean. And then within like 2 minutes of that happening, the lady dies.
Yeah.
Like, so you instantly hate this character, and then she dies in like a comedic way. Like, she just has a heart attack, essentially. Like, they don't even tell you how she dies.
I know.
Dies.
Wait, hold on 2 seconds, Maddie, okay?
Oh, do you have to take
give it 2 seconds.
Okay. I think Ryan has to take Lyra out because she's sick. So I won't tell you guys.
Sorry, I just want to make sure Lyra didn't have diarrhea again. Like, I just saw her
okay? Do you have
something.
To take her out?
What?
Do you have to take her out?
No. She was acting weird, and I was checking on her. All right, so okay, continue.
All right, so anyway, this lady dies, and then the kids really didn't want her to be there anyway, and they're like, well, what if we just drop her off at the morgue and don't tell anyone? Yeah. Which is exactly what kids would really do in that situation, and is probably where the realism of this movie ends. So they drop her off at the morgue, and then they make their getaway, and they realize that she had all of the money in her wallet. The old lady had all the money in her wallet that they were going to use for the next 2 months. So they have no money. So they instantly have to get jobs. And so the oldest girl ends up getting a job and like meeting a cute boy at this horrible retail job. And then she and this boy sort of stay friends and stay together. But she's like, I got to leave this retail job and get a better job than this. And so she like lies. extensively in order to get this.
I just fell off my chair and I'm really sorry.
It's okay. I figured you had to leave to go take care of Lyra. I'm just babbling the entire plot.
No. I didn't mean to do that. That was me just falling off my chair.
Okay. Well, chill. Okay. So anyway, she starts this older girl starts lying in order to get this sort of administrative job at a fashion industry position, and it's not like it's not like working at Vogue or something. She's working at a place where they design school uniforms. Mm-hmm. So she ends up getting an executive assistant job instead of the receptionist job that she was trying for, because she lied so extensively on her resume that she looks ridiculously overqualified. Mm-hmm. Also, she's like putting her hair in this updo so that she doesn't look 18, but she still totally looks 18. And then she has to suddenly deal with all these real life problems and like realize how hard her mom works to take care of a family and have a full-time job. And
and it's like she's becoming her mom.
And it's really amazing because it's about like having to grow up really quickly, but also like this girl ends up completely killing it. Like it's not a story of her failing and being like, wow, my mom really has it all together.
No, but it is a story about her and going from a teenager to an adult world and making a lot of mistakes that we have all made.
I know. And
like overcoming them.
Yeah, and like usually these are the kinds of mistakes that you make like after you've taken some college classes and you get your first job after that. Like
I mean, that wasn't me because I didn't go right into college. I went right to work. So I definitely sympathize.
You had an office job. It wasn't until you were in like your 20s. Like most people make these mistakes when they're like 21, but she's making them when she's 18. So it's a little funnier because you're like, oh my God, this is a child.
I know.
So the movie also has that like stressful thing where you're like, I want the kids to be okay.
And meanwhile, like all the kids do have super distinct personalities. Like she's got
she's got like brothers. A tomboy little sister
who's like burning bugs at the beginning of the movie.
It's amazing. And she's got like this burnout brother who's like the second oldest, and he ends up sort of taking on all the domestic responsibilities of the house, but not before fucking up majorly throughout the entire movie.
I know. He's also his room covered in skulls of marijuana is what gave the babysitter a heart attack, apparently.
Yeah, that's the implication anyway, although they don't spell it out. He smokes pot a lot in this movie.
That other kid that just is like super
obsessed with TV.
And because his brother's not paying attention to him, he like goes up to fix the satellite on the roof and falls off the roof, breaks his leg.
And then the fifth son is like really young, but also somehow a lady killer still, and like
he's like 12 or 13, so he's just like hitting that age where he's really interested in girls.
But he's also like pretty popular at school. Yeah. So like you have these 5 distinct kids, and I don't even know like how they did that. They were like, these are personalities that kids would have.
I don't know. But okay,
it's pretty incredible that they managed to keep that many kids in the script without being like, one of these kids has to go. It's too complicated.
I know. I totally agree. Like I probably would have gotten rid of the kid with the girlfriends. Honestly.
I thought that was so funny though, that I was like, glad I mean.
Like there was like, you sort of need all those pieces. So
it's also like makes more sense as to why the household is so hectic, because there's so many kids there all of a sudden, and like it sort of explains how things can get out.
And Maddy was like, "What happened to the dad?" I'm like, "I don't even remember." But they sort of subtly, and this is so clever. This is great script writing. This is all great script.
It's so cleverly.
They're like, "Should we ask Dad?" And then the older brother goes, "Dad won't care."
Yeah, so, and that's it. That's all they say about it.
But it like sort of explains everything, you know?
You understand that the dad is still alive, which I actually really liked, because it's also like a subtle commentary on like, you know, okay, so don't be a deadbeat asshole dad who walks out on your huge family, but like they instead sort of present how the mom has had it all together, but also had this really stressful life.
And that's why she went on this sort of like a business trip that took her to another country.
Yeah, because she's like supporting her whole family. I fucking
there's like
love
this whole other aspect where they're trying to make money, and that's why she gets a job in the first place. Is because her and the older brother flip a pizza to decide which one's gonna get a job, and so she gets that business job. But they run out of money immediately because they left the money on the dead babysitter. So that's why they have to get out.
they run out of money immediately because she got a job where you don't get a paycheck right away, so they need money instantly. So she like starts stealing money from the office,
from the petty cash box.
Yeah, and she has to pay it back, and that's like another stressful thing that's going on throughout the movie. But it's sort of like understandable why she would be doing this.
Yeah, but her boss Rose is amazing, and I quote that scene where she's always like, "No matter what's happening, you just say." I'm right on top of it, Rose. And that's what I say to all of my bosses, whether or not they get it, if they're like being like that. And I'm like, I'm right on top of it, Rose.
I mean, a lot of the lessons in this movie are like legitimate things that you need to learn in a job.
There's also a part where she's like at the computer and she can't get it to work. And she's like, I hate you. I'm like, this is my life. I'm
surprised there's not a gif of her like repeatedly pressing the space bar.
I'm sure there is somewhere. But
somebody should make that.
There are so many aspects of this film that are just so great. I mean, she gets that other shitty job first that you get when you're that age, and she just fucking quits because she's like, also flirting with the delivery guy. It was
1991 and like jobs existed.
I know,
that was the unrealistic part of this movie,
and especially for kids.
Although you could remake a version of this movie that would be pretty great. Like you could remake like a.
I don't know because nobody seems to manage to capture the good script writing that was happening in like the 80s and early 90s. Like
my God,
I just don't know.
All right, fine, we'll have to write it ourselves.
Okay, along with X-Men Apocalypse.
Okay.
Can we talk about? Just real quick, the receptionist in there that was also a huge bitch, and we've all dealt with like that office worker.
I thought it was amazing because so the evil characters in this both have hair slicked back, vampirical. Like,
and there was also the other dude that was like hitting on all the women and like that office worker and like
he's presented as a villain. It's not like cool that she's being hit on when she's 18. I mean, the movie's great. It's just great.
It's so good, but I do like it's very inspirational because it sort of makes you think about getting your own shit together and how you can overcome anything, and that there is a way to be both like a kid and adult at the same time, but it's hard, and like all the woes that you go through, especially when you're that age, going in and getting your first real job, like it all reflects in there, and then also how it changes your perspective of the world and like how your parents did everything. You know what I mean?
God, yeah.
And that's her character journey. Like literally at the end, like her mom's about to scream at her, and she's like, "We'll talk like adults." And her mom's like, "What?" She's like, "You've had a long flight. We'll talk tomorrow." And the mom's walking through the house, and it's like the first time she's ever seen it clean. And there's like a huge entertainment center, and she's like, what the hell? Like, what happened?
Like the mom comes back and sort of catches her daughter in the act in like a crazy way and is at first really mad, but then I would have liked if there had been a little more resolution at the end.
I know. I always think about that.
Fully realized what happened, but I mean, you assume that happens.
And then she like sort of sees that the deadbeat son's got his shit together, and she's like, I was gone less than 2 months, and like they fucking
got it together. Yeah,
I know.
But it's also like a situation where your kids will kind of rise to the occasion if you let them to.
Yeah. There's a lot of lessons in here.
It's pretty cool. It's like a pro-teen movie, but it's also a pro-mom movie. So it's like everybody gets to feel good about themselves watching this.
Everything everybody wears in that is so amazing.
It's amazing.
It's
amazing. Like this is one of those movies that's canonically about a like young girl who ends up being a fashion designer, and like usually that stuff can go really wrong. But in this case, I was like, nope, those outfits are great, and I would wear them.
I just see, and I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but I just really love. I mean, obviously the fashion, but I just love the wackiness of like all those movies back then, and like that. I guess you were able to do a lot with very little, and I think we've forgotten how to do that in film. So.
Well, it's just a really well-written movie. And like, if you're interested in getting into screenwriting or whatever, this is a great example.
This is really good. Like it's
tightly written script that's funny and serious and like has great themes.
Yep. So. And it does, like, as I said at the beginning of this, it shouldn't work, but it does. So
it's great.
All right. We don't have a lot of reader mail, which is good because we just spent a lot of time on that. But anyway, we have something from Taylor. He says, "Hi, Maddy and Ryan. Last week's E3 coverage of Legend of Zelda convinced me to buy the remastered version of Wind Waker, and now I'm playing it through for the first time. I hadn't seriously played anything since the Game Boy Advance version of Link to the Past." Oh my God, that will be another throwback, but that's something Maddy and I played together on the phone
my God.
when we were teenagers. So I was surprised to see how pleasantly goofy Wind Waker is. Link's facial expressions, the gossipy, nosy townsfolk, and the somewhat tongue-in-cheek take on series tropes made me laugh. At this year's E3, both Legend of Zelda and Resident Evil's humor seemed toned down in comparison. Why do you think franchises like Resident Evil and Zelda are turning away from explicit goofiness like the infamous Jill sandwich to more player-dependent situations? Is it a bid for video creators, cultural legitimacy, or something else altogether?
Huh.
You're making us think?
Good question. I was actually talking about this with Steph. I was like, can you think of any comedy horror games? And we couldn't think of any.
Yeah, because it
and
used to be,
really
that was what the Resident Evil franchise was, you know?
They were funny, sometimes unintentionally, but sometimes intentionally. And there was like that goofiness there, but it was still really scary. And I was like, but what's like the scary movie of horror games, or like, you know, all the Paranormal Activity parodies and like stuff like that? Like, what's the version of that exists? And there really isn't that genre in games, which is kind of too bad.
I also think that we are having a huge problem with games right now where there are a lot being made again, which is good, but like we're playing lots of variations of the same game. You know what I mean? And there's so many free PC games right now, so everybody's just like making shit. So I'm excited about this, but we haven't. I mean, like, I know that there's like a nostalgic attachment that we have to like these big adventurous games when we were kids. But I think the focus has changed a lot to be easier and more accessible to a general audience. Like, there's literally like. But all you have to do in some games is like hit X or Y in a cutscene. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the Resident Evil 7 demo was really hard, so I'm not going to complain that that's too easy for me.
I am excited. I keep on saying this.
It's definitely true that it's. Well, I mean, I don't know that Zelda was always lighthearted. I mean, Wind Waker is kind of in its own category, but it definitely is strange to see Resident Evil getting really serious. And I feel like people are like, oh, well, now Resident Evil is finally scary again. This is what everyone wanted. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's what some people wanted. And it's definitely really cool that it's scary. But it's not what everyone wanted, because I like the Resident Evil that's funny and campy. So I don't know. It's, you know, there might be some sort of larger cultural shift that's happening there that's indicative of games becoming darker for some reason.
Well, it's not.
I haven't really thought about that.
For some reason, we're culturally like I'm not going to get into politics right now, but culturally right now, especially
the apocalypse is ongoing.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, I mean, obviously shit has not been good in our own country for like 5 years now, and it's like sort of like that across the board. Like, things aren't great. So that's reflecting on, like, you know how in the 80s, like, and not to go back to this, but there was like a lot of great horror films that was coming out of like how fucked up everything was during that time. You know, we're sort of back in that again. And I sort of feel like that's the reason why like everything is so dark and gritty right now. That, and everybody likes to copy everything, but I think we're just in a really weird place culturally, if that makes any kind of sense. And like,
that's true, and that's definitely going to affect the art we make. And I think it's also like, since it takes games so long to be made, the stuff that we're seeing now is actually reflective of like where people were at like
a year or two ago.
Yeah. So like the fact that now we're seeing these things, it's more indicative of, okay, so the recession happened and like this is where people are at mentally, I guess.
And I know that like Japan has put out a bunch of these games, so like they aren't. Well, no, Japan had some serious bad shit happen like just a couple years ago during the tsunami.
Yeah,
they like lost a huge chunk of like their society. That's terrifying.
Something that's, I mean, somebody who's more of a cultural studies expert than us can tell us if that's changed things.
We'll ask
because I really don't know. But yeah, I mean, I know that the games that are being made here in the States have probably been affected by like our political disaffectedness lately.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's probably the best answer we can give for right now. I don't know.
It would be interesting to sort of look at that trend in the next year. And,
I mean, yeah, I guess. Because in the 90s, like all the games we played were like super wacky and fun, you know?
Well, everyone had money.
that too. That was a fun thing people used to have.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Thanks for the question. Well, let's do the recipe corner and then get to work, I suppose. So Skye sent us a recipe this week because we didn't fuck it up and been like, oh yeah, we need to send something a day early. So she goes, so it's the triple digits in California again, so I don't even want to think about anything that will heat up the kitchen. I agree. However, I did have a wonderful brunch with my friend Dina, so today I'm going to briefly talk about Mimosas, the classic brunch drink. It's champagne or sparkling wine and orange juice, 3 parts fizzy booze, 1 part orange juice, mixed by stirring, and you have a refreshing beverage for fun brunch times. Joke time. In Overwatch news, they're getting rid of the avoid this player function because the best Widowmaker player in the world can't find a match, and Blizz says he's a great guy. I don't buy it for not even for a minute. A Widowmaker player who isn't a jerk sounds fake. That's like not even a joke.
But it's also hilarious.
I know.
And
then Mako Fury #1196 on battle.net. And oh god, this is, I don't know how she pronounces it, but it's the TH3FREMEN on PSN, who I just friended. Okay, then she follows up with, oh god, let me change that someday, please. Okay.
It's the Fremen. It's from Dune.
That's what it is. I just got confused by the 3
It has a 3 in there because leet speak.
Okay, listen. This is like Ryan's dyslexia coming back again.
No, it's okay. It's not that easy to read leet speak because it's stupid.
We had a great joke about that in Demon.
That's true. We did.
I don't know if what's a good summer drink. You don't drink.
Well, yesterday I made a smoothie that was amazing, and we've talked about smoothies before in this show, but I bought some. This is so pretentious. I'm sorry, but I bought some kale juice. At the
that's really good
store.
though. I'm sorry.
And it's
I
like
think it tastes good.
Green juice, and I mean I can drink it straight, but it has sort of an unusual flavor to it because it's like vegetable juice. So what I do with this juice is I put in a cup of that, and then I put in a scoop of protein powder, and then I put in a bunch of frozen raspberries. And the raspberries have such a strong flavor, especially frozen raspberries, which are like usually very sour in a good way, in like a candy tasting way. So that taste is very overpowering, and it makes it a lot easier for you to drink some kale.
I actually like the taste of kale. So
I mean, I can drink it straight, but like I don't think I can drink as much of it just by itself without mixing it with
it's also tough to turn into a smoothie without it like being chunky and gross like seaweed.
Well, that's why I don't buy kale and try to
that's what I used to do. I tried doing like I tried to actually chop up the kale, and I mean it would work eventually, but it's
like
really hard.
You need like a really high grade food processor that's like super duper expensive, which I don't have. I just have a Target brand blender that is still kicking, but it can blend frozen fruit, but that's about as far as it goes. And there's a lot of other good stuff you can blend with any sort of green vegetable juice, like frozen banana. I've done that.
That's really good.
Yeah, frozen strawberries. I did that one earlier this week. So like basically any kind of frozen fruit to sort of balance out if you don't like just vegetable juice on its own.
Yeah.
It's really good. Normally I make milk smoothies, but this week I was making that because I really
need to get back on the smoothie train. I've been not doing that. But I just got orange juice and fruit again, so I should just do it.
It's hot out and it's a yummy thing to have.
I guess I'm just gonna do two things. One that's alcoholic and non-alcoholic, and both are easy. I think my good summer drink, especially if I'm going outside or I'm in the beach, or if we're like hanging outside in the summer and I'm gonna have a drink, I go to beer, and I usually just get like an IPA. I feel like those complement hot weather for whatever reason. So if you like IPAs, go for that. But more importantly, if it's like summertime and you need something to drink, water is great, but also make sure to drink things like Powerade or Gatorade, because like you need to
replenish your electrolytes,
and it's really important because like you need those. Like I didn't realize how important it was until like
what kind of Powerade do you like the best?
I like the one. I don't even know what it's called. I just like the blue one.
I like the blue one too.
But that's like nostalgic for me because I liked blue drinks when I was a child. So
me too. I would always get the Blizzard Powerade.
Yeah.
At the vending machine in high school. I don't even know if they still.
I didn't drink that shit in high school. I was still drinking soda in high school, but I don't really drink that anymore. So. But yeah, that's what got me through at Six Flags yesterday. Is that we kept drinking Powerade. So.
Yeah, it's really easy to get dehydrated, especially if you're at Six Flags and like walking around.
And there's like no shade, you know?
Yeah. So bring some Powerade with you.
Yeah.
Powerade should buy an ad on this show.
They should, along with like everything else we talk about. Resident Evil 7 should just like pay for us.
Oh man,
Thanks,
but then we wouldn't be able to say if we didn't like Resident Evil 7, and that would get really awkward really quick.
I'd be like, well, no, I should buy out a portion of Capcom and be like, now you need to make Chris gay.
Oh wow, let's do that. Let's crowdfund that.
Let's crowdfund Chris Redfield being gay.
Let's crowdfund us becoming primary shareholders in Capcom and forcing them to make creative decisions. Oh, that would piss off gamers. That would really undo some shit.
All right.
We have to go.
Said, we gotta go.
On that note,
you can subscribe to our podcast thingy here on YouTube.
You can subscribe to the videos here.
Yeah. And then also the podcast is on iTunes, but you can find, if you're not an iTunes user, go to atomicblueproductions.com, and I post them there as well because that's the official RSS feed. And then you can also go to our home base, our main channel, Atomic Blue Productions on YouTube. And I still have to upload some clips from this show because I've been a little lackluster on that since I've got my vlog going with Follow the Sun vlog, also on YouTube. And you can find more Atomic Blue Productions and our work under the Atomic Blue Productions title on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, and wherever the hell else I'm forgetting.
Yeah, and if you want to send us reader mail and we'll try to answer it coherently, it's insomniacsinthemorning@gmail.com.
I like how you always remember that one because I never do.
It's okay. I don't know. This is the part of the show that nobody listens to because it's the plugs at the end.
I know, but like plugs for ourselves.
We're Sam Clone and Dr. Yoshi too.
On Twitter. Yeah. On twitter.com.
Yeah, it's twitter.com/
not twitter.org.
Dr. Yoshi 2 / all_tweets. No, I'm just kidding. It's _replies. No, don't go there.
All clapping. All right, we gotta go.
All right.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Goodbye.